We're live again on the Late Late Horror Show. I'm Dino, and that's Dave Plouffe. What's going on?
Not nearly enough, Dino. How are you?
No, I'm pretty good. It's true. No one walks in L.A., right?
No one does.
Walking in L.A. Anyways, yes, we were going to accidentally stream this show earlier today. So if you missed it, this is the rebroadcast. No, this is live.
This is the West Coast version.
This is the West Coast version. The blue or the red, right? Isn't that State Network or whatever?
Yeah, NBC. Yeah, blue and red.
But yes, we are going to talk about music from the 80s and our experiences, our all kinds of stuff. Concerts we went to. Dave slept with a famous singer, and we'll talk about it twice.
No, two singers.
Oh, two of them. At the same time. I didn't hear the story correctly. Anyways, let me. What the heck am I talking about? Harry Scott, what's going on? Good to see you. Hi, Boy Donuts to you, and Dennis as always. Connie Clary, CM, what is going on? Black Roses, what is going on? Good to see you. I think I saw Night Fright Talk Show at the beginning. Maybe I didn't. I could have been just dreaming that. Duck Dodgers is here. All the way from the 24th and a half century. Is that it, Dave?
I don't know, but I was just, looking at the chat. It's just kind of like an extension of last night's trivia night.
Oh, exactly. But listen, this is going to be fun. And there's going to be some low points because, we're going in depth on what these songs and these albums and music means to us and stuff. But anyways, Dave, we love the 80s, right? Sears James, Pretty in Puke. Is that what that says? Oh, no, you must be blocked. Welcome to Dino Dave 80s Dance Party. No dance party. We can't play music, Dave. I wanted to DJ.
Unfortunately, we can't.
I know. I wanted to DJ some of the top hits of the 80s, and use my little spinning record. I've got a whole machine over there. At night by myself, I just turn it on and the disco globe goes, and neighbors pound on the door, but I don't care. I just do.
And what's scary is your nearest neighbor's like a mile away.
Oh, two. Yeah, at least. Yeah. I still don't understand Sears James. What's Pretty in Puke? I take it you don't like Pretty in Pink. Something wrong with you, Sears. Something wrong with you. I'm getting bad now. Stump! What is going on? Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Okay, so let's get to this. Duck Dodger's suicidal tendencies. Yes, we're going to talk about certain things. And I'll tell you right now, Dave, you know this. I am not a pop guy. I am not a pop hit. Listen, I love the music. I love some songs, but you're not going to see a pop album in my list or what I talk about. Although I think we'll touch on Thriller and even Pretty Purple Rain maybe a little bit. I don't even know if those are on your list. We'll find out. But I am a new wave guy, a punk guy, gothic new wave, synth new wave. You name it, in that genre type of thing. The darker, the better. But there's so many different styles. I tend to lean towards the gothic punk, the new wave that came right after the punk era, post-punk. And we'll talk about that. How about you, Dave? What are you into?
One of the things that I had a tough time with putting together these lists is that there was so much great music, and growing up where I did, there's a little bit of me that's country and Western, and I left all that music out the door.
Yes.
I left the real heavy metal stuff that I like kind of out the door, and I chose some more moderate type of music to share. But it was one of the cool things about the 80s is that we did have all these different genres, and it was just terrific music, and I'm really glad I got to live through it.
Oh, heck yeah. Let me tell you. And yes, John Hughes 80s movies, they had some of the best soundtracks because let me tell you, like Dave said, the 80s, it was the decade of music. It was the decade of movies. It was the decade of pop culture. So there was this big boom in entertainment where everybody was trying to get Twisted Sister and all. I see everything you guys are saying. So no, we'll talk. We'll talk. Fire Frost. Hello all. What do you think of Missing Persons or Sisters of Mercy? Love them both. Fire Frost. That's up my alley. That's what I like. We will talk in a minute. But 80s, it was pop culture, and everybody wanted to become famous. It was the beginning of what ended up being so many people, Dave, trying to become a singer, an artist. You know, they were fighting their way to get on TV because cable became a thing. And again, go ahead.
We consumed music different as well.
Yeah.
You know, when we look back on it, you know, we did have, you know, the rise of MTV and videos. And now not only did you have to be a good singer, you had to be a good actor, and you had to be able to produce these really wonderful videos in order to get those watches, in order to get them on, you know, VH1 or whatever you watched. You also had, you know, the different clubs you could go to. You talked about pop culture. You could see by the way people dressed what music that they were into.
Oh yeah.
So it was very unique. And Kevin Muser, what do you want to do with your life?
What do you, Berlin Terry Nunn? Oh, please, yes, beautiful, beautiful. But yes, the clothes you wore told you what you were in. All black, hair spiked. You were either goth or the more piercings. You're swaying. Dave, you're anyway. You're the professor.
And how about all those pins that you would wear as well?
Well, yeah, and that's those people usually had the leather jacket, not the leather, the jean jacket with the pins, and they were more new wave to pop. But the dark clothes, you got your goths. The more piercings, you're swaying. That's the word I was trying to say, towards more punk and hardcore, maybe heavy metal stuff like that. You know me. I'm my favorite band. It's no secret. The Cure is my favorite band of all time, and they used to call you didn't know that, did you, Dave? But what they called the Cure fans were hair heads. They would actually call them hair heads. And this was something I didn't hear a lot about back in the 80s and 90s, but it was a thing, and they called people the Cure hair heads. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, you guys are naming off. There's so many different things we can go. Valley Girl, the movie and the song. Oh my God, yes. Let me just tell you, I was telling Dave right before the stream, I literally was sitting down for like 6 hours going through album after album after album, because once you get rolling and the memories come flushing back, I'm just like, it just was amazing. So I've got a million songs in my head, a million things to talk about. And I don't even know where to start, Dave. Where do you want to start? Maybe the two famous women singers you slept with?
Sure.
Okay, let's start with that.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to just go ahead and throw out my biggest wet dream, which is the Go-Go's.
Yes.
I think you're a fan as well. They started off as a punk band here in LA, and I can't complain about punk girls. I love the purple hair and all of that.
I love it. Yes.
Jane Weedland. I don't know what I would do if I saw her in person. But one of my favorite albums.
Would you faint, Dave? Would you faint?
In a manly way, I would.
Okay, in a minute. Jane Weedland. Okay.
I'd probably do the Clue quote and then fall down.
There you go.
So one of my favorite top 10 albums is Beauty and the Beat.
Beauty and the Beast.
The Beat.
You are going to get some divergence tonight, some separation, some differences in opinions. And listen, when it comes to music, I'm going to let you talk about it in a second, Dave. When it comes to music, I think, of course, everybody's choices and what they love, I think, has to do with memories, emotions, because I think that's what music does, right? I mean, it evokes the emotions. It brings back memories, especially the older you get. So there's albums and songs you would hear somebody say, "This is my favorite," and you just like movies, and you would go, "What? What?" But you know what? Everybody's got a different attachment. I mean, I have a song that we'll talk about a little bit later on that, has a very negative attachment to it, but I still love it. But the memories attached to it aren't good, but I don't get it. But anyways, Beauty and the Beast.
No,
Dave.
just Beauty and the Beat is the Go-Go's album.
Okay.
It's with their faces all in like their not makeup, but their mud packs or whatever. It's an ugly looking album, but it has some of the best music from the Go-Go's. And that is my favorite. And I don't even think that tonight, because they're just going to go off on whatever they like to.
Oh yeah. I mean, they've thrown so many different names out, from Devo to Twisted Sister to Judas Priest, and Men Without Hats. There's people who love their hardcore heavy metal and all of that, which again, I've never been a metal person. I've come through memories to love the hair bands of the 80s, believe it or not. They're not in my top 10s of anything, but there's a time and a place. Listen, how can I explain this? There's a time and a place for all genres of music with me. Like, I love listening to 1920s music.
Right.
Okay. There'll come an evening where, I've got a Bluetooth that I'll pop the iPad up and I'll stream the music in the shower. Because listen, I make my salads in the shower. Just like Kramer, remember when Kramer, see, we're getting back to it again. In that episode, he wanted to spend all day long in the shower. I don't know how the water stayed hot, but listen,
remember that nozzle that he put on that he had to fight to get to the,
yes, it's overpowered. Kathy, what's going on? Oh, Kevin, I loved Rat. Yeah.
That was
Rat,
amazing.
Rat was doing a commercial not long ago, for TV.
For Geico, yes.
Yes. But, okay, so I got a Bluetooth, and it allows me, because, I'll be in the shower for 20, 25 minutes sometimes. I mean, you let that water just pour on you, and, it's just listening to music. It's like sitting in the water in the pool or something like that. I don't know what to tell you. My kids once told me, you're in the shower way too long. I go, there's never too long in the shower. But anyways, the Bluetooth, that's my time to, like, some nights I'll listen to 1920s, 1940s. I'll pop on the 70s channel, the 80s channel. And I'm not a singer in the shower, but I listen. And I just love it. So anyways, Corinne Survivor 71. I have a Dracula book and a Frankenstein book with wonderful pictures that would look great framed. Should I keep them in a book or display the pics? Keep an eye on Corinne. I will say welcome, Corinne, but I'm not quite sure if you're not a troll, because we are nowhere near talking about horror tonight. But listen, I would put them in frames and put them up on the wall is what I would do. But the point I was getting to, Dave, is oh no, I think I got to that point already, right? Emotions attached to the songs and all that. Beauty and the Beat. Susanna Hoffs, the earlier punk stuff, when with the hair and the way she.
Susanna Hoffs is on the Bangles.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, wait, what did you just say? Beauty and the Beat is who?
Is the Go-Go's.
Go-Go's. Okay, so I'm getting the Bangles and the Go-Go's.
Belinda Carlisle.
Yeah, Belinda Carlisle. Susanna Hoffs. So no, I'm getting that all wrong. I better shut up and move on. What is wrong with me? Depeche Mode Culture Club. Yes, that's my alley, Kathy. How did I get that messed up? Because I know that you love Susanna Hoffs too, Dave.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. And listen, I love the Go-Go's too. They're great, and they were good during their time. But listen, my number one album of all time, and I think everybody knows, The Cure has been out since late 70s. They were inducted into the Hall of Fame not long ago. They have so many albums out there, and still producing stuff. Still going strong. Not as strong as they did in the 80s, but it is what it is. But The Cure, the Disintegration album, Dave, from 1989, just made the cut, 1989, but it was the essence of that kind of new wave era, gothic new wave. It's a beautiful album, and it's one of the best. It's my favorite album of all time too, because you can go from the very first song on that album all the way to the end. It's almost like a full story taking place. It's like one song to the next, to the next, to the next. They are all superb, excellent. Everyone evokes emotion like a story. I could see me taking that off to that desert island and saying, just when I need to, just sit back, close my eyes and listen. Plain Song, Pictures of You, Close Down, Love Song, Last Dance, Lullaby. If you ever seen the video, MTV, The Cure they just skyrocketed too with a lot of their videos because he was so, the black eyes, the hair way up, and the red lipstick, kind of all over the place, and the white face, and it was so good. But Lullaby, man, the spider coming down, from the web, is just like kind of evoking a nightmarish image and video. It was just so good, Dave. I can't say enough. Fascination Street, a song you could put on, in a car and just go 100 miles an hour. Never do that. I never have, but I don't even know why I brung that up. But it is so good. And there were songs on B-sides from songs that were, because this was an album and a cassette and then eventually a CD, but this was on vinyl, and they did have B-sides even on the cassettes. I'll slow down, Dave. I'll stop in a minute. Let's talk. I'm going off on a tangent because I love this stuff. But
well, I'm just wondering if there's going to be another Cure album on the list as well, or you just choose one?
Because I kind of, a little sneak peek, I kind of threw two eras in there. So this one is a little bit late. Is like 89, and it's more of the post-punk stuff. It's new wave, and it's, oh my God, I can't say enough. Every single song is good. There's not a bad song on the album. Yes, I'm saying album. We're in the 80s here. Yeah.
I was going to ask you how you preferred to listen to music, because when you said you could put on the album and listen to the entire thing, I mean, what's great is those albums that you can do that, because so many times it's like great hit, and then it's like maybe 4 or 5 songs later you'll get another. Very few of them have that storytelling capacity.
Yes. I think that's what made this album, and really a lot of what The Cure did, but not so much the same as this album. Disintegration, I mean, it's like I said, I mean, there is no diverging off of the story and how you feel throughout the full album. So, I won't last too long on it. We can move on now, but yeah, lots of good stuff. Queensryche people, listen, Sears James can go on, and I think Kevin with band after band. Yeah, I'll be talking about the Smiths, man, for sure. Okay, Corinne's good. Yeah, talking 80s, man. We love to do that every now and then.
Well, one thing I will tell Kevin, I have seen the Psychedelic Furs in person, which was really cool. And they opened for the Go-Go's when I saw them down at Irvine Meadows way back in the day.
Very cool.
But,
no.
Yeah. I'm going to throw out another album just to get it out of the way, because I think it may be on both of our lists. But Michael Jackson's Thriller was, to me, probably the most iconic album of that decade.
Yes.
It was, I remember the anticipation for that song coming out. Like, I never knew of any other song having hey, it's going to be played at 6 p.m. on September the 5th for the very first time. And here in SoCal, we used to listen to, it was called the Mighty 690. And it was actually out of Mexico, because you didn't have any restrictions for how loud or how high your not decibels, the kilohertz were.
Yeah.
So you had this huge station in Mexico that actually Wolfman Jack would occasionally be on.
Wolfman.
And he would blast all the stuff north of the border. And that was the first place I heard Thriller back in 1982.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing song. And to have Price on it and to have all the other great songs. My actually favorite Michael Jackson song is Billie Jean. So it was just times 10. It was my favorite.
Well, she's not my lover, but yeah, no, Thriller is a Billie Jean is not my lover. Anyways,
but the freaking sidewalks lit up.
I know. Well, again, MTV generation, videos made an impact on you too. Listen, Michael Jackson, one of the best of all time. I mean, I will always say that. His voice, he's been doing it since he was a kid, and till the day he passed away, rest in peace, Michael Jackson, he was still going strong. So, Thriller, I didn't include it in any of my lists because I knew that it's just something that's out there. I mean, Thriller is one of the all-time greatest albums of ever. So, I figured it probably would be on yours, which is why I wouldn't talk about it. Jamie O was here, DJ Magic Matt in the afternoons on KISS FM while on the PCH in SoCal.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Pacific Coast Highway. So, Dave's in California, so he knows Pacific Coast Highway. Good to see you, Jamie.
FM was one of our biggest stations. 102.7 was the number. And I was wondering, did you guys have an iconic station in Cleveland that you listened to?
Well, our iconic station was WMMS, and they were the Buzzard, and they were known across the country. And they played pop, more metal or hard rock stuff. They really didn't dive into the more poppier stuff. I don't know what channel I listened to, honestly, because I would go out and get the CDs, the cassettes. I had very, very few albums, but I did have some albums. I have a story, hopefully maybe down the line we could talk about it, Punk Eye Records. But what I listened to was the far on the end of the dial was Cleveland State University. The college station had this nighttime show where the college kids would come in and they would just talk a little bit, not to the audience, to the people out there, but they were talking amongst themselves going, dude, get out of here. What's going on, man? Let's just play some Pixies, play some Suicidal Tendency. But it's the place where the Cocktail Twins, it's the place where I learned about all of the early stuff, the very early punk stuff. You know what I mean? It was on this college station that, heck, I could call right in and go, can you play this? Eventually after a while, because nobody, it was a college radio station, but I got it on the end of the dial. And every Friday and Saturday, I looked forward to it. Again, I was a teenager. I kind of missed that punk era in the late 70s, which, oh my God, that's my jam. I love that. But even the early 80s when all of that stuff started to come in, but hit it right at the right time, that late 80s, and then went back and figured out all that earlier stuff, which we'll get to here soon. I don't know if I should talk about my second album or not.
But go ahead and throw it out there.
My second album is,
because right now we're only going to get to 6 albums.
I know. We're already down at the bottom of the hour. Yeah. And listen, I am seeing everything you guys are talking about, and that's why I keep the chat up on the screen too, so everybody can come back and see what we were talking about. Baja's, Sears James, you're talking all my stuff, man. Baja's is actually on my list, which I might as well throw out. 1980, Baja's In the Flat Field. So hardcore punk. It is, it's hardcore punk going into post-punk. But Baja's they were a punk band, and they evoked that sound. Man, I wish, Dave, this is what drives me nuts. I wish so bad that I could play some of the music just to show people the difference in the sound that came with all of these subgenres. You know what I mean? Like the punk, and then going into the post-punk, which slowly got a little bit slower, but still these guys like Baja still had that punk voice, you know. And you know a punk song when you hear it, you know. Black Flag, you know, Henry Rollins. I mean, come on. As hardcore as you get, kind of. There were more hardcore, but there were people out. Did I say peepee? There are people out there going too fast. Slow down, Dino. Yes, I'll be talking about Peter Murphy too. Yes, I'll be talking about quite a few people. But my second album,
yeah,
I've got The Cure, Disintegration. That's for getting down, being mellow, not for getting down. Well, you know what? It could be for getting down. Yeah. Anyways, because it is kind of mellow most of the way through. But anyways, Dave. The second album is 17 Seconds. 17 Seconds. It's probably not the one you thought of, maybe. Is that the one you were thinking of, Dave? That I might have thought of when it came to The Cure, the second album? No. Okay, it's The Cure, 17 Seconds from 1980. 1980. This is pure post-punk. It's because they did punk right in the late 70s. But this is post-punk gothic rock. So if you kind of get, man, I can't tell you what it sounds like, but listen to 17 Seconds. 17 Seconds had a forest, which if you have never heard of it, listen to a forest. Oh my God. If that doesn't evoke some weird gothic dreamy state, nothing does. It is just so good. But every song on that has that gothic punk feel to it. Every song. There's not a bad song on the album. So without going on and on and on and on, because some of my other ones on that album are At Night, 17 Seconds. And the opening to 17 Seconds is so good. Just how The Cure, so artsy, so great. And go on. Your next one, Dave.
I don't even know where to go because it's so funny because mine seems now so lightweight. One of my favorite bands that you not think that I would listen to is actually Kool and the Gang. And
listen, no, I love me some Kool and the Gang. Go ahead.
I absolutely love this group. Everything from, to me, Celebration is one of my favorite, New Year's Eve songs. It's,
Wait a second. Corian, what gothic rock? Are you laughing? What's up with that? What's up with that? Gothic rock rules, man. Some of the best bands ever. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
No, it's okay. So I just chose Kool and the Gang, Gold, because that has all their best songs. It is a double album, and I think they're a great group.
Listen, I agree with you. That's all you got, huh? Celebrate good times. Come on.
It's well, they also have Ladies Night on that album, and it's just, to me, that
Ladies Night. Oh, what a night.
Yeah, no. Get kicked off. We don't want to get kicked off.
Oh yeah, no music behind it.
It's one of those songs, those groups that make you feel happy.
Oh yeah,
and it's always one of the ones that you hear at parties, you hear at the end of the year, and all of that. So that's it. It's a feel good group for me.
Yes, and nothing wrong with that. Listen, don't feel like your songs are lightweight or your albums are lightweight. They're all genres, man. I'm so hardcore into this 80s new wave punk kind of stuff that
Well, I'm ready for your third Cure album.
No, that's okay. I could, again, that was what was tough. Iggy Stooges and the Pop, or Bowie, Oingo Boingo. Yes, you guys are saying all the.
Well, that's the thing with like Oingo Boingo. What a great group, and they didn't even. I didn't have room for them in my top 10.
No, I know, and we're not going to get to top 10 either.
Honorable mention, though, at least.
Listen, I see some new people too, and Caveman. What's going on?
Fire Frost. Hi.
Bunch of everything. But Duck Dodger says Susie and the Banshees. Listen, she's the female version of The Cure. I don't have her here. She kind of played a part in everything I love about The Cure, because they were really good friends and through most of their career. And if you like The Cure, you like Susie and the Banshees. Listen, she was a beauty. I mean, come on. Talking about a gothic chick. Go ahead, Dave. Put her in black. Put her on those satin sheets. Okay, come on.
All right. So I have a guess for another of your top 10 lists.
Okay.
Is The Pretenders.
Okay.
Did they make your list?
They did not make my list.
All right.
A little too soft for me. No.
I thought maybe their real early stuff, 1980, 81.
The Pretenders, the earlier the better. Po Girl Shines, what's going on? Yes, I'm Depeche Mode's on my Dave Gahan. I mean, come on. Dave Gahan is doing stuff on his own right now that is still top tier Depeche Mode stuff. I mean, unbelievable. But what did you say again, Dave? The Pretenders.
Because it was like it's your city, right?
Yes. And again, the earlier the better. But the beautiful Chrissy Hine, such a beautiful voice. I mean, what more can you say? Drink water, Dino. I see everybody going on me about. I know I end up talking and slurring my words because I got a dry mouth. I'm talking too fast, a mile a minute. Okay, so my next album, this is where we're going to kind of swerve into a little different Dino. It's a popular group, Tears for Fears. But the album is The Hurting. The Hurting from 1983. This one's not by Roy Orzabal. It's sung by Kurt Smith, who it's weird because Roland Orzabal, the guy with the long black hair, if you look up Tears for Fears, he's got long gray hair now, and they just did an album called Tipping Jar. Fantastic. They got together and did a new album, and that album is wonderful. But The Hurting, 1983, Tears for Fears, most of the songs Kurt Smith sings. And their best stuff. Although if you go on to some of their other albums, Roland Orzabal, that's why he took over as singer. He has a melodic voice and he just does something special. And I don't know why there was a transfer between the two. I really don't know. But I mean, this album, it was a transition for me because I'm going to get into the early part of my life just for a minute, just to let you understand why I'm attached to some sad music, some depressing music, and some music that you would listen to and go, oh my God, that hits hard. That's like this, The Hurting. I mean, some of these Mad World, Pale Shelter, Ideas of Opiates, Memories Fade, Suffer the Children, Watch Me Bleed, Change, Prisoner, Start the Break. Every song is good on this album too. That's why it's kind of my third. I had to have The Cure at 1 and 2, but and I think I've been open about this a lot, especially during my paranormal shows. I had a rough 18 years, 17 years, 18 years. I had a rough 18 years. It's tough to talk about. Even now, I feel like emotions coming out and I want to cry a little bit, and I'm not going to do that. Not with Dave here because we're being happy, and Dave's my friend. But yes, Dave, the first 18 years of my life, man, I wish it on nobody. I've gotten into the details and stuff, but it was horrific and horrible, abuse and all that other stuff. I would have never wished it on any child, but it took me into a direction in music where I would listen to albums like this. And listen, I think other people think this is one of the greatest albums of all time too, and they not necessarily had things happen to them. But my point being, when I get to some of these other songs and albums too, is that I kind of resonated with a lot of the depressing songs. And to this day, even some of the most beautiful depressing songs that are sung, even in this era of music, I tend to go towards. So there's just something about it, but a lot of memories attached to it. Not in a bad way. The memories that kind of made me go that direction are bad, but I attach myself to the music and the artistry and what the artist put out, and just fell in love with all of the music. So that's where the headphones would come on, and I would listen. And even though it a lot of bad stuff was there, it took me away. So there's some kind of strange, weird connection there that's hard to explain. You know what I mean? But it's some kind of psychology type thing. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. But anyways, a wonderful album. Every song, beautiful, good, tells a story too. And that's it. I'll move on from that and we'll get happy again. And Dave, go on.
All right. Well, I've got a pretty happy album, I guess.
Yeah.
And let's see. Kevin Muser, I think, may have mentioned this earlier. Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, is one of my most favorite albums. Okay. Like you had mentioned, The Cure, you could listen to the entire thing. I could name you every single song off of that album. I remember the Born in the USA tour in 1985. Everyone but me from my school went. And it's unique because I'm not a Springsteen fan. I don't like the stuff that's earlier. I don't like the stuff that's later. But during the mid 1980s, there was no one better. He is the boss. And everything from Born in the USA to Darlington County and My Hometown and all these songs. And I do recall more memories of this. Just because I would come home from school and like you, maybe my childhood wasn't the best. And, I would just go and work in the yard to escape a lot of this. And so I had a boom box and I'd throw in and I'd listen every single day to that entire album. And by the time it was over, I knew it had been like an hour and 15 minutes and time to go back in or do homework or whatever. But, that to me is that tie into my youth.
Yeah. No, exactly. I'm not a fan of Bruce Springsteen. I don't know why it is or what it is. Listen, I know he's a great artist and he's done wonderful things and everything like that. But listen, good choice. Kathy says making mixtapes for your friends. That was one of the things in the 80s that was awesome. Yeah, making the songs that you could. Oh, did you do that, Dave?
I still have them back here.
Yeah, I figured you did.
And you're right. It's Kevin Glory Days. It's just a fantastic song, and I remember that, especially in high school, they would use it for rallies and stuff like that.
Tough Louder Mouse goes, he's so old school. His boombox had a record player. Oh my God. The thing is, you can be 20 years old and be in love with the 80s. So age is irrelevant here when I'm talking about the 80s and the love for the 80s because, it's timeless. The decades are timeless. Just like I love that 1920s era kind of, speakeasy type of music that you would get. I mean, it's just what you love. I don't know. Didn't say hello to Marina Bellata. Good to see you. I'm going to touch on really quick since I was because I did want to hit this and it has to do with what I was just talking about. And then I'll get happy with, the Smiths. Are they happy? I am going to hit the Smiths in a second. But another thing that hit me real hard when I was young, teen angst, right? There was a band called XTC, okay? They had an album named Skylarking, which technically is somewhere in my top 15, okay? Skylarking is 1986. There's a song on there called Dear God, and it's exactly what you think it is. Okay, dear God, teen angst. You're mad at the world. You're mad at everything. But the way, and it starts out being sung by a kid, and then the kid transforms to the lead singer singing the song, and it's so melodic, it's so beautiful in the way the story's laid out. It's a wonderful thing, and it's just the song, although I could add that album Skylarking on my list because it's a great album. But my fourth on my list that I definitely need to take with me, because anything Morrissey, to this day, Morrissey is doing wonderful stuff, Dave. He's an old man up on stage, dressing cool, man. Dressing cool and swaying about and singing the music. And man, do I love that guy. That guy, listen, he may be an asshole to a lot of people, I think, but which leads me to the fourth album, The Smiths, The Queen is Dead from 1986. I could go earlier on some of the albums that the Smiths did, that are a lot more punk. But this one is just everything. I think it encapsulates the Smiths and Morrissey in particular. Morrissey, I think, is the Smiths. Without Morrissey, you wouldn't really necessarily have the Smiths. You might have, I don't know. But, The Queen is Dead, a fantastic song. I think every song on this album is good, too. Fantastic. I think one of the standouts in this is, frankly, Mr. Shankly. It's a fun, just like the title says, it's very fun, but he sings it like he sings it. Frankly, Mr. Shankly. I'm not going to get hit with a copyright, but yes, this is my fourth album. I think it encapsulates everything that is the era when, listen, the Smiths and Morrissey, I think, encapsulate the 80s. He's part of pop culture. When I think of the 80s, I think of the Smiths. I think of Morrissey. So The Queen is Dead, my fourth album. There you go. Dave, go on. Hey, Daryl Hagler, what's going on?
I was just going to say hello to Daryl Hagler myself.
Sorry.
That's cool. One group that I haven't seen mentioned in the chat by. Why doesn't people like the Beastie Boys? So one of the greatest albums is License to Ill. It has so many fantastic songs because you do have to fight for your right to party. It was the first time where I started hearing music that was kind of like revolutionary. It was like, who are these three white guys? And, all of a sudden they're doing kind of like this rapping, but they're also talking about, breaking the rules.
And they were on Married with Children.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Weren't they? Beastie Boys? Oh, no.
I have no idea.
That was a different group that was on. Okay. Anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was, I just remember their videos, the skinny ties.
Yeah.
Everything from Sabotage to all of that.
To party. Yeah, no, it was they were in their 20s, but a teen angst kind of song, rebellion.
I mean, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Slow and Low.
Brooklyn. Yeah. No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
She's crafty. That's a lesson right there, man.
Yes. And again, an album, I think that album in particular, where a lot of their standouts were, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So 100% good pick. Night Ranger, says Charles Berry. I had to keep that up there because you know what? I have a soft spot for the 70s. Night Ranger did do things in the 80s. So yes, I think their best hits were in the 80s. So yes, Night Ranger, as well as some other bands that you would just consider rock, plain and simple. So yeah. Very good. John David is here. What's going on, John David? And if I missed, John Swan is here. He loves Beasties. Yeah. Good to see everybody. J.O.B. Job? Wait a second. Wait, what are you doing to me? You see that, Dave, right?
I don't know. When you take the punctuation out as well.
No, you need .o.b.
Yeah.
No, put it back. Put it back. What you want? Unless it's somebody else that's just name his job. If you're J.O.B. Put it back. Otherwise, I'm not even commenting anymore on your messages. That's mean. No, of course I went, but I'm still calling you J.O.B. no matter what. You can change it to Harry Job. What, I don't know what that means, but anyways. Okay, so I guess I'm going to my fifth album, my next album.
All right.
We didn't even touch on concerts. I seen The Cure 6 times in concert, and let me tell you, one of all the greatest experiences when it came to music and seeing somebody, other than Depeche Mode, because I saw them in concert too, and I was literally 100 feet sounds far, but it wasn't. I mean, you're close. So with Depeche Mode, man, that was such a great concert too. I went to a concert at the IX Center here in Cleveland. It's an international exposition center. For some reason, NXS came here, and they set up a stage. And this place is huge. You put the blimp in there, NASA planes going. I mean, it's an international exposition center.
Yeah.
But I went there for this concert, and there's literally a stage and like 50 people in front of it. And I was one of those people. You know how the girls can throw their underwear up on stage? It could happen. They weren't doing it there, but you know.
I hope you didn't partake in that.
No. I don't think I. No. Anyways, no. But he was right there, and this was right. A couple years later, he passes away. But anyways, I just want to throw out a couple little concert experiences that yeah.
Is that where you would prefer to go for your concert experiences? I mean, where did you, like in Cleveland, is that the place to go?
No, the place to go, and it is still standing today. Like I saw The Cure at big arenas, like the local arenas. It was called the Coliseum back in the day. Now we have Cavaliers Stadium, whatever it is. I don't know. But that's where I saw The Cure, and I was far back. There was one time where I was kind of close, but the atmosphere, it didn't matter, but the Agora was more like a movie theater or an old theater, where there's a stage and everybody sits down for a theater play. Mm-hmm. It's called the Agora, and they always had live bands come in. It was the place in Cleveland where it was like CBGB's, but in Cleveland, it was a place where you got to see intimate concert of some of your greatest bands. And the Agora was that place. And I saw Crowded House there, which was fantastic. Crowded House. Oh, my God. Another great band from the 80s that I just love, which singer used to be in Squeeze. Squeeze before, they were a little bit more punk. The long story between all the members and the band members and stuff. But yeah, just love it, man. The Agora is the place to go. I mean, mostly in the 80s, 90s, that's where it was. Today, I don't think they book as many people. It's a different day and age we're living in, Dave. Small, intimate concerts aren't the same. But anyways, the next album, the sixth album I got, unless you wanted to say something, any concerts?
Yeah, actually, the very closest I've ever been, I was in the front row at a Tubes concert, but it was in the early 2000s is when I saw them. Okay. The strangest concert I was ever at was a B-52s concert.
Oh, I bet.
Dude, you have no idea. I still tell people these stories where like there was this guy and he took off his shirt and he started dancing with it in like the aisles. And also it was so great because it was the Go-Go's and B-52s. And so during the Go-Go's set, like the B-52s would just like try to make the Go-Go's mess up their songs and like kind of run across the stage like during their performances. And it was just really a different type of group. But
what was one of their bigger hits?
Which one? B-52s?
Yeah.
Everything from Rock Lobster to
Rock Lobster!
Private Idaho.
My own private Idaho. Yeah, I know.
Down in the, yeah. Oh, it's
My
fantastic.
own private Idaho. Yeah, B-52s were good. I liked B-52s. That's cool that you got to see them.
Yeah.
I think early 90s, there were concerts at smaller venues, especially like in my area, Nautica, it's called, down by the Cuyahoga River, after they cleaned it up and they made it all nice and beautiful. And a lot of bands came in groups, like because Lollapalooza that kicked off and all these other things. So bands came in groups. Like you would see 3 or 4 really good bands at the same time.
Yeah,
Love
we had
Shack, baby. Love Shack, baby. Love. Yeah, Kathy.
in the early 2000s. Also, I would go to Lilith Fair here,
Yes.
and you would have they would be at the Rose Bowl, but then they would have these smaller stages outside on either side that you would. I mean, you were so busy because you had like the main performer inside, and then you'd want to go out and see these smaller performers on the outside stages. And some really good individual singers were there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And leads me to my 5th album. Oh my God, do I got this? See, it could either be Depeche Mode or I'm going Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be perfect for you.
Yeah, Echo and the Bunnymen. Ocean Rain from 1984. It's one of those mellow albums, mellow singer. Ian McCullough is the lead singer of this band. He went on to sing on his own, and he sang songs like Candleland, which is a beautiful melodic song. But Ocean's Rain, I think the quintessential Echo and the Bunnymen album with The Killing Moon. Everybody would know that if they heard The Killing Moon. But every song on that is just beautiful. So, I mean, I'll make that shorter. But I love that. It's a beautiful album. And I love the singer Ian McCullough. And I loved when he went on his own and did all his music too. Just a great, great band. So, yeah, my 5th album.
One person I also didn't see in the chat was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. For me, I would throw out the album I chose was Into the Great Wide Open. Has some great songs.
The Great Wide Open. Yeah.
You know, again, we'll add Johnny Depp to our chat. Normally we don't like him, with Dark Shadows or whatever, but I think Tom Petty, I wish I had seen in concert. I love songs such as Spike. I want to be a rock and roll star. He had such a long career that you could have early, I want to be a rock and roll star. And then 25 years later, I want to be a rock and roll star. And it felt like a different song because he sung it at a different cadence, And
oh yeah. Well, Tom Petty went on forever. I mean, he ended up being in a group called the Traveling Wilburys, which not a lot of people know.
Why don't people know about that group? I mean, it's just like, hey, let's get all the superstars together, and then like no one knows about them.
Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, Bob Dylan,
George Harrison,
Bob Dylan, another one like you were talking. I mean, listen, he goes back to the 60s, which a lot of that early stuff in the 60s, which was brought on by activism and folk singers that he kind of he roamed around from place to place, picking up some of these greats that were some of these great folk singers of the time. He would just hop in a car, drive down to where a band of beatniks or hippies would be at the time, depending on where he was going, and he just put this whole thing together when he sings this song and just go. And there's a documentary, I think, on Netflix. I wish I knew the name, but if you put Bob Dylan documentary, it should come up. It talks about all of his early life and how he started out in that kind of folk era, singing the songs that he did, and because he admits he was nothing at the beginning. I mean, he was trying to figure it out, and he was looking at what these guys were doing, and he said, he started putting his stuff together, and eventually he got the hang of it, and Bob Dylan became Bob Dylan, and he's one of a kind. And Sears James says, Dino, don't forget the Cramps. No, I get them every night. People tell me to drink pickle juice. Pickle juice will help that.
Just more water.
Yeah. Well, no, I think I drink too much water is what I do. But yeah, I don't know. No, the Cramps were another great punk band. There's just so many. There's actually a documentary on Netflix on CBGBs and the talk of early punk, and oh my God, I would recommend it to anyone. Again, I don't know the title or the name, but just go. Netflix has a whole mess of rock documentaries and stuff like that. But is it my turn or your turn? What?
No, I just did Tom Petty, so you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good choice. And again, going into Traveling Wilburys, which I love because, anything's Beatles related. But Roy Orbison too, man. His voice, oh my God, forget about it. Iconic, yes. Okay, so my next album would be Depeche Mode. What can I say about Depeche Mode? Every album that they put out could legitimately take place on this, taking it to the deserted island, not the desert. What am I going to do there? What? Burn to death? I don't know. I love the look on Dave's face. Dino's just nuts. I don't know. See what Ted had to deal with, Dave?
Well, I was going to say the first half of the trivia last night, I was a little concerned.
Listen, I think that's what makes them so entertaining. I mean, I'm being me. I can't be fake. If I'm insanely quirky, odd, let me be that way. That's just who I am. Anyways, Depeche Mode. The album I did pick, though, for this one is Some Great Reward from 1984. Again, I could have picked anything. The earlier their albums are, the more punkier they sound too, but they're totally in the 80s a new wave kind of band. They fast became a new wave pop rock kind of band, but he continues to put out, again, like I said, the same kind of great material. But this album has the People Are People, everybody knows that one. Master and Servant. I'm trying to sing it, Master and but I don't want. Anyways, Blasphemous Rumors. This album's just, it's the one I pick. That's all I'll say, because Violator's a great one. I used to have a great big Violator patch. It was like, I swear to God, a foot by a foot on the back of my jacket. I used to wear almost like a tuxedo. It's an 80s tuxedo. It's almost where there weren't pads up here, but it was almost that style, and it went straight down. And I had a Depeche Mode jacket that I'd sewn into the back of the jacket. It's not even a jacket. It was what would you call that? A dress, kind of. I don't know, Dave. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, there I go. Depeche Mode, and now on to Dave.
Well, I chose one that, it's funny how our memories like completely changed. Like, oh, this happened in this year, and then it really happened like 5 years later.
Yeah.
My next album is Blondie, Auto American.
Oh, good one.
And, Blondie was also something that, had some little bit of rap, of course, with Rapture. She had, that kind of punk vibe as well. But
as well.
Yeah, I could have sworn she was late 70s. I remember like in grade school listening to her, but it was 80s. And, so that is my next album is Blondie.
Yeah, no, a good pick. Listen, just like what you just said there, Dave, the band that was going, if we ever did the 90s, my number one band of the 90s would have been the Cranberries. Dolores O'Riordan, that beautiful Celtic voice. so she died so soon. I think she was 51, 52. I forget. Dealing with pain and all. It ended up passing away. So beautiful. I'm sorry. See, now I'm starting to mumble. That's what happens when I talk too fast. The Cranberries linger, but it was 1990, Dave. So I thought 80s, like you just said, but no, it was 90s. It was right there, right on the cusp of 90. I could have cheated and got away and said it was produced in the 80s.
Now you also
I love her. I love her.
Think about, like, with Blondie, it's just when they were inducting people into, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which band do you induct? Do you induct the original members? Do you induct the later members?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we have a problem with a lot of these bands. Well, like the Pretenders, that their groups change so much.
Oh yeah. No. Debbie Harry has also a Playboy bunny at Playboy Club in the 70s. Yes, she was in all caps. By the way, no, listen, yeah, Debbie Harry was very beautiful, man, and she could pull off a lot of girls could pull off headbands and sweatbands around. Anyways, that's an 80s thing. High hair, headbands, ankle bands. No, what was the thing? Leggings? Yeah, that was okay. Anyway, so. Moving right along, I had to get the Cranberries in there because I don't know if we'll ever do.
I just had a flashback of Jamie Lee Curtis working out.
Oh yes, Staying Alive. Yep. The old exercise into a song. Oh, why'd you put that in my head, Dave?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now I'm doing a stream. Kids now will never know how big Huey Lewis in the News. Yes, that's another one. Huey Lewis in the News, man. I mean, that dude was so good. I mean, he went on to act. I mean, he said, "Okay, I'll start acting now." So I mean, but Huey Lewis in the News was good. So Robert Palmer too, another good one. But what I'm going to put on for my next one, and it's so freaking hard, Dave, because so many of these bands. I would like to take a case. Why limit me to 10? But it's going to be a Flock of Seagulls from 1982. Their self-titled album. Listen, they only had a couple albums that they brought out. Then they broke up and went on to do normal everyday life is what they ended up doing. It's kind of sad. The two brothers, because it was the lead singer and him, the two brothers that kind of got mad at each other, never talked. Eventually, MTV had or VH1, they had a show that got groups back to bands reunited.
VH1 did that.
Yeah. And they got
groups reunited.
Groups reunited, yeah. And got the Flock of Seagulls back. And that kind of spurred on. Eventually, they do tour now, and I think he does, because I listened to it. He's even got a new album out, so very cool. But Flock of Seagulls, self-titled album, 1982. It's where all their songs are. I mean, this is it. The John Hughes movies, you talk about that. I mean, you got I Ran, I ran so far away. Space Age Love Song. Got to be one of in my top 20 songs of all time. Space Age Love Song. From the 90s movie, Jennifer Connelly was in it. It was about working in Target. She was on rollerblades, roller skates. You know what I'm talking about, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's burned in my memory, but I can't remember the name of that.
Somebody in the chat will remember.
So beautiful.
Yeah, tell me what that was. What was the name of the movie? But Telecommunication, Modern Love is Automatic. They're all great songs. Every one of them on this album are great. It's a shame their career was cut short. So yeah, that's my
career opportunities.
Yes, there you go. Career up. Thank you. If nobody's ever seen that and you like the John Hughes movies, Career Opportunities, it's that same vibe, yet it's just right there in the 90s. What was it, like 91, 92, something?
It was 91, yeah.
91. Okay, so close enough. Rock the Casbah. Charles Berry says career opportunities. Check out a blues girl named Samantha Fish. Yep. I know Samantha Fish. She's still keeping it real and going strong on YouTube and everywhere else she can do her stuff. Kind of a punkish kind of gal, and I love it. Samantha Fish. Yes. David Bowie, Stevie Ray Vaughan, 80s. Yes. Listen, there's so many of the pop icons that you can talk about, but yes, I'm taking a deep dive into some of these, other bands. So yeah, Dave, what do you got next?
Well, I did want to mention, I think it was Duck Dodgers made a slam on Cyndi Lauper, and I will say that She's So Unusual album is really good. It made honorable mention for me. It did not make my top 10.
Okay.
But I thought she was quite a good performer and all of that. So,
yeah.
But my next album is going to be John Cougar Mellencamp, Scarecrow. It is, again, one of those albums that you had mentioned, like The Cure, that told a story, that was also an album of its time. So it's kind of like Born in the USA. It really kind of was what the mid 80s was like. And the same thing here with John Cougar Mellencamp, with all the farms that were being lost in Middle America. And of course he, performed on Farm Aid and all of that. And the songs that came from that album were really quite amazing. So
oh yeah, it was an album that my younger brother loved so much that I can't, anytime I think of or hear John Cougar Mellencamp, I think of my brother, because he played that to death and he loved that song, that album. But yeah, it was a staple of America, and John Cougar Mellencamp he changed his name a couple times, didn't he? It was a John Cougar.
He went back to John Cougar, and
he threw off the Mellencamp, then he brought it back, and then but he's still putting on stuff today. A lot of these guys are still rocking it. The past 3 or 4 years, they're like, you know what, I'm getting back up on stage. Listen, John Cougar is he's getting up there, but a lot of these guys, they're still doing it, and just to hear their voice, I don't care. It's still great and fantastic. But yes, good pick, Dave. I have to throw in for my next one is the Psychedelic Furs. Again, talk about John Hughes movies and stuff like that. The Psychedelic Furs was that kind of pop new wave. The album is Mirror Moves from 1984. And it's the one where you get Heaven, The Ghost in You, everything on the there's a couple songs that you might, this one doesn't have, see, now we're getting to albums where not every song's perfect on the album, but the ones that are on the album, like The Ghost in You, Heaven, they're just so iconic. They're in teen 80s movies. You can't forget it. It will live on forever. And the Psychedelic Furs, he has a voice that is so distinct that I just love it. I love it. So that's my next album. Dave, go ahead. Maybe we can get through some more of these albums. Maybe.
Maybe. I'm going to go ahead and do one of the hair bands. I'm going to do Def Leppard, and my choice is Hysteria.
Hysteria. When you say.
You really only need one Def Leppard album. And
yep, that's right.
The sound is always the same. The lyrics are very close, but you know, to talk about such a terrific album and a terrific group, and I don't care if the drummer only has one arm, he's still one of the best drummers around.
Yes. And yes, Psychedelic Furs, Pretty in Pink is one of my favorite movies of all time from the 80s. You could throw just about any John Hughes movie in there. but yeah, Ghost in You. Oh my God, so good. But yeah, no, that's yeah. There's bands out there where all you need is one album, and I am not even going to say somebody knocking on the wall. What's going on here? What's knocking on the wall? Stop that! Stop that! Someone knocking on the wall. What's going on? I don't even. Who could be knocking on the wall? There's
It's the
nobody
beginning
there.
of a horror movie. Maybe it's Dr. Bubonic.
It could be. Heaven was Fiction Factory. Yes, it was, Jamie O. Uh, yes, Fiction Factory. And I have that on my list as well, Fiction Factory. Their album. Well, I might as well say it real quick. Fiction Factory, Throw the Warped. Oh, God, it's down on the list a little bit more. Let me get to my next one. Wait, what did you just say, Dave?
My last one was Def Leppard, Hysteria.
Okay, yeah, I was going to go into. I saw something. Jamie go Fiction Factory, and yes, I love Fiction Factory, another great band. But I'm jumping the gun here a little bit. I think the next thing I was going to talk about was Simply Red. I'm kind of veering off a little bit. Simply Red, Picture Book is the name of the album from 1985. He's a big Irish lad. No, let me not get that wrong. I do believe he's Scottish because they don't like to be, Scotland and Ireland. They have a big issue with if you say the wrong thing. But anyways, he's got a very thick accent, and he sings. It's my transference to through all this new wave music. I heard this album, Picture Book, and saw this dude with his long curly red hair coming out, and it's kind of jazzy music. Have you heard of them, Dave?
I have.
Okay. There's a couple songs on the album that are just ultimately beautiful. Holding Back the Years. That song is so good. Holding Back the Years. It's so good with a slow jazzy background. So I think it was my introduction to something different, and I said, you know what? There's other music out there. Because I was so hardcore, and then I started broadening, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty darn good. And so I put that album in there. I'm not sure that it's actually in my top 10. I just wanted to talk about it because of the couple songs, and it was kind of a point in the 80s that kind of changed what I was listening to. And I started going in different directions, and I even started going into a little bit more of the heavier stuff. But the newer, what would you call that? Punk, post, heavy? No, that's not it. Like Skinny Puppy. What would that be called? Anyways, it doesn't matter. Let's get Dave to go to his next one.
Well, I was thinking also for an honorable mention, I'm going to actually throw in a movie soundtrack.
Okay.
Ghostbusters, 1984.
Okay.
You know what? For the song and how as popular as that was, other groups that were on that album included the Thompson Twins.
Yes.
And Ray Parker Jr., even though he doesn't have like a particular, deep breadth of songs, I'm in Love with the Other Woman is the only one I can come up with. But
in love with that's another song.
That's a different song altogether. That's on their 70s flashback.
Yeah.
But for me, I thought that album, that song, the movie was just so iconic with the 80s.
Oh, yeah. The movie alone. Yeah. And the soundtrack. Same with like Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many songs and movies that kind of go together in the 80s that just make for 80s pop culture history. So, yeah. There was another honorable mention type thing I wanted to put in there, too, because this is really, it's one of my favorite albums of all time, too. And it just missed because it's 1990. Like the Cranberries, as soon as 1990 hit, we had this movement like the Cranberries and this other band, the Sundays. Okay. This is who I'm talking about, the Sundays. They had a album called Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic from 1990. It is the most soothing, most beautiful album I've ever heard. Her voice is, she sings Wild Horses, which has been done by 50,000 people over and over and over again. But the way she sings it is just better than, but there's a song on there in particular that is one of my favorite songs of all time. Definitely makes the top 5. Here's Where the Story Ends on that album. Reading and Writing and Arithmetic by the Sundays from 1990. I know it's not 80s, but technically produced 1989, 1888. They released it in 1990. But, I think a little fly went in my throat. I think George did that. You think I'll be all right? Oh my God, I swallowed a fly. What's going to happen? Oh my God, what's going to happen? Here's Where the Story Ends. So beautiful. But okay, so now
you want to be my latex salesman.
Oh my God. I can't wait till next week now. We're going to go Seinfeld crazy here. Oh my God. I did swallow like a little fly because the plants, they have those little bugs every now and then. I mean, you can't help it. It just comes with the territory. If you like plants, you're going to get those little flies no matter what. Nothing you can do about it. And I swallowed one. Dave, I'll be all right, right?
Yeah, you will.
Okay. I got acid in my gut, so it'll kill it, right? If it makes it down there, what if it goes and just stays in the esophagus? No, okay, I'm going too far.
But it pulls its little fly wings out to the side and stops halfway down.
It's flying down my esophagus. There's a whole living ecosystem down there. Well, there technically is. What am I talking about? Okay, on to 80s music again. Dino diverges. So the next album is, I'm pretty sure people should know Gary Newman. Gary Newman, you know Gary Newman?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the dude's got, he's got like 100 albums. You know that, right? He's got like 100 albums. Since the 60s, he's been releasing like two at a time.
I didn't realize to me, he always looked so young. And then I saw him recently and I didn't realize how old he actually was.
And he's still putting out albums every year. Yeah. But Gary Newman, listen, there's so many albums. To choose one is hard to do, but to sum up who Gary Newman is, it's the Pleasure Principle. Technically 1979, but no, Dave, but it came out in 1980. It was released in 1980. The Pleasure Principle, listen, I'm pushing it a little bit, but technically released in 1980. It's his best album but any album through the 80s, somewhat early 90s, and before. But this album, it sums up exactly how he sounds. He's a punk guy. He's a punk guy, and you hear it in his voice, and he's got that style that is Gary Newman. And I mean, I don't know what to say about this album because if you've heard Gary Newman, you know what I'm talking about. And if not, listen to songs like Metal, Complex, Cars, Gary Newman, Cars. Everybody should know that song. But every song in this album is beautiful. And I think it's technically one of the, and on a lot of people's lists on big websites, it's like one of the top 25 and a lot like top 50 albums of all time. So it's kind of why I went there. I may be cheating a little bit with 7980, but whatever. Go on, Dave.
Well, I was going to say Larry David was a big fan. That's why the Postman was Newman. Anyway. Along with your cheating into the 1990s, I'm going to go ahead and shout out to Roxette because I absolutely love that group, even though a lot of their more famous songs, some of their famous songs were in the 90s as well. Yeah. They kind of like we're right on that edge. The album is Look Sharp and just such a fun band, a beautiful lead singer. and a very fun group as far as concerts go. They were a very actively touring group,
Yes.
and everything from, She's Got the Look to Joyride.
Love them. Love them.
And they could also pull off the ballads as well.
Yes. Yes. And I loved, she was very, listen, she was a very beautiful woman. I suppose if you were a girl, he was a handsome guy. They were your typical couple kind of thing going on there in the late 80s to early 90s. So yes. Okay, going back to a little bit more of a hardcore punk, that would make my list. I think I have to mention the Dead Kennedys, because the Dead Kennedys, again, kind of sum up that punk era. Their album Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. I love it. And you would get that from 1980. So there were a lot of punk albums right in that year, 1980, that just were fantastic. But the Dead Kennedys had a specific sound, okay? Like a lot of those early punk new wave artists, had that specific bravado in his voice that made him a good punk band, them a good punk band. And some of the standout songs in there is Kill the Poor, Forward to Death, Drug Me, I like that song, Your Emotions. But oh my God, it's also, again, hardcore punk. There's some songs in there that aren't very good. For today, you definitely wouldn't talk about it or even discuss songs that are singing about that. But that's what the punk era was about, singing about things that have, personal things. And you can't do that nowadays, really. But the Dead Kennedys, there's another one I'll throw in there real quick, Dave, just for a second. It's called The Fall. Their album, Hex. You guys will know what I'm talking about if you're a punk fan. It was 1982. Quintessential punk. It should be on anybody's list who loves punk music, especially late 70s, early 80s. Okay, go, Dave.
Well, I'm going to...
replacements are good too, Connie Clary, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually going to, since we're running up against time pretty soon, I just want to throw out some one-hit wonders that I thought was really great.
Nice.
Or just some single songs from some groups that meant a lot. For me, this included Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Late 80s. I think it came out in 1988.
Which one?
Fast Car. I think it came out in 88.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And just a beautiful song, beautiful story.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go down to the Flirts with Jukebox. I'm going to go with Erasure with Oh L'Amour.
Oh, I love that song. Erasure is so good. Yes.
It really is. It's underrated. We haven't talked about Prince either.
No.
Not a huge Prince fan. I appreciated Purple Rain and 1999 and all that. But my favorite Prince song is actually from the early 90s, 1992. It came out, and it's just called Seven. It's when he was a symbol rather than a name.
Yeah.
And
mine is Raspberry Beret.
Really?
By Prince. Yes. I like that song.
I was amazed that getting back to his real early stuff, it was so wonderful before he became famous. There was some disco in there. There was some really
Cleveland Rays, Tracy Chapman, Dave Buffet, Yippers, Jamie.
Yeah, so those were just a few of my things that I had written down as I was thinking about this particular stream.
Yeah, and I like to kind of throw out another band that I don't know how many people know of. They should, but Natalie Merchant with 10,000 Maniacs.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Such a great band and such a good 2-3 albums to start with. They freaking rocked it, and it was like an artsy artsy kind of, oh my God, what would you even call? I don't even know if you would call their music new wave, but I guess you would. But yes, just a different style. I think she introduced kind of a different style to music. She was her own thing. I mean, 10,000 Maniacs, I love it. But yeah, let's see, who did we
and we didn't even cover the most iconic album, Van Halen 1984.
I know, yeah.
You
That's
know,
what I'm saying. That's what's so hard, Dave.
So
Or
much
the Police. The Police.
Yeah, I saw someone mention that in the chat.
David Bowie. Listen, even me. There's bands like Frankie Goes to Hollywood. There's Aha, who had some good stuff. Men at Work from Australia. I mean, come on. Culture Club. Listen, they were different, but that album had a lot of good songs on it and hit songs, and they were good. They were good.
What about the songs that Queen released in the 80s?
Oh,
you know, we think of them as the 70s band, but they did some great stuff in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
REO Speedwagon.
Yes. When you're talking rock, yep, that's definitely. Listen, I didn't even talk about Modern English, The Human League, OMD. If nobody knows who OMD is, orchestral maneuvers in the dark. They have get their greatest hits. They have so many great songs. It's unbelievable in their own style.
And how about this? Timex
telecommunication. Anyways, go ahead.
I was going to say Timex Social Club,
Yes.
Dead or Alive.
You know,
Alphaville.
So many good. The Bugles. The Bugles. The Bugle. Anyways, Oingo Boingo. Peter Schilling. Howard Jones. New Order. Oh my God. Kajagoogoo. How did I not mention Kajagoogoo? They were also on Bands Reunited. It was Bands Reunited, wasn't it, Dave? Not Groups Reunited. Yes, Bands Reunited on VH1. Kajagoogoo, they were another band. They were great, and they brought them back together to sing too. I mean, Dave, man, was this fun.
It was fun.
So many good. And I didn't even mention, I have another YouTube channel that I haven't touched for years, but it's called Punk Eye Records. And there was a record store here so many years ago when vinyls were going. They went out of business for a certain price, which was super cheap. Listen, I was young. 1,000 albums of one album wonders, I can say, Dave, by independent local, record, whatever. I have had them. I don't know where. I wish I did. I'm such an idiot. The things we get rid of in life. What the frick is wrong with me? You know how much those probably are worth. But I ripped them. So when hard drives first came out, I ripped them all to my hard drive. And I started uploading all these albums and putting a lot of effort into it on that channel, Punk Eye Records. And you will go over there and see albums that you're like, what the hell is this? There's gothic rock, there's just rock, there's new wave, post-punk, you name it, it's over there. There's even me doing a unboxing of some records that I got at a Goodwill store, which I still, pristine New Order album, double. Anyways, so good. But yeah, so many good bands and stuff. But yeah, this was fun, Dave. I think we'll do Seinfeld next week then, huh? Just talk.
Yeah,
everything to do Seinfeld.
We're going to do General Seinfeld. And what is on the stream later tonight?
Oh, tonight, it's a rare Western night. Okay. I know not a lot of people like Westerns. It's going to be Gunsmoke. A lot of nice cleaned up audio. They do well in the long run. There's a lot of people out there who do love the Western shows. Gunsmoke is a good one. But I know I'll probably have half the viewers as usual. Just go and listen to one of the older streams that you want or whatever. But yeah, that's it. Gunsmoke tonight, and I'm not sure what's coming up the rest of the week. Trivia night was really good and fun last night. Like Dave said, I was a little whacked out at the beginning, so go see that or not. Okay, I didn't miss anything, right? Nobody posted anything that because
just some Air Supply, which is actually pretty good.
yeah, listen, I love Air Supply. There's a lot of I love all kinds of music. Air Supply. I love the Carpenters. We can do a 70s decade.
We will.
I'm not if you're I think you're up to it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. There's so many 70s bands that I love too. Like I said, you don't have to have been born or lived in that decade, but growing up, my parents played a lot of those songs and those bands, and they're kind of ingrained in my memory, Yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to get ready for the next stream. I put the link to Punk Eye Records. Thank you. That's just for, listen, I haven't done anything on that channel forever. There's still half of my collection that I should get up there, but there were just so many copyright things going up, left and right. They still leave it up there, and the revenue does go to the person who sang it, which is good, and that's what I want. But it just after a while it gets annoying, So it's basically me just archiving rare stuff that should be out there still. People should be able to hear some of this stuff. So, anyways, Dave has a dinner to get to. Right, Dave? With that famous singer from the 80s band that we never talked about or touched on. But